Communications, Oral Presentation, Reflecting on Research Essay. A little introduction. My name's Noah. I'm currently 20 years old. I'm completing my diploma at Conestoga College in Industrial Electrical Technician. I'm currently living a 5-minute walk from the City Hall, downtown Kitchener. The topic of my presentation will be a short analyzation of my research essay titled Rent Rather Than Own Abodes. I'll define quickly some strengths and weaknesses in this essay. I will then evolve some of the thoughts on my research topic, and I will finish off with a summary of some of my thoughts and findings. A little bit more backgrounds. Again, I'm 20 years old. I'm almost done at Conestoga College currently. Afterwards, I will be looking for a career in my respective electrical fields, as well as my own place to live, preferably an apartment. These three things I've added into my main interest for renting, sorting its pros and cons. So to progress into some of the strengths of my topic, well, the topic itself is strong. Everybody needs a roof over their heads, and that will either come through the form of renting or owning. My thesis was clearly laid out. I'm definitely for renting. And the structure of my research essay was again well laid out. Some of my weaknesses, though, were my essay came off as more persuasive than research-based, more trying to convince you to rent than just tell you the good things behind renting, as well as a following of grammatical errors and a few weak transitions. However, my results were much better. In basically every situation, renting's better. However, this does not always apply. My key quote from this: our site statistics show that the median home spends 65 days on the market from the time it's listed until the owner hands over the keys. I found this a little ridiculous, as if you double this to extrapolate the time it takes to find a house, you could be looking for a house for more than 2 months. Some of the really key points were that renting is always going to give you more freedom than home ownership in both finding a location almost anywhere, and then also the speed at which you can find this location. As well as that, the standard down payment on a house is quite lofty, as 20% is a pretty good standard, and if your average home is $500,000, well, you know, $200,000 is quite a bit of money that could be invested wisely and make more money over the same amount of time. And, well, the initial cost of renting will always be lower. You don't need as much startup capital to find a house to rent rather than a house to own. Some of the conclusions really we've come to is renting, it makes it easier to move from one place to the other. If you're somebody who doesn't like to settle down and you want to change a pace every so often, renting's the way to go. The initial cost again, much lower, as really there's some security payments, but not always, whereas mortgage is almost a guarantee on a home these days. Depending on the location, renting is usually cheaper, but may not actually be the best choice in the long run. Although I do mainly support renting, and in most cases it is better, homeownership can actually prove to be slightly cheaper in the long run in more rural areas. And really, the biggest price factor in both renting and homeownership is the market. You must do your research on your area to determine whether homeownership or renting will be more effective in your area. Really, what I learned about workplace communication from these two assignments were that communication can come in many forms, whether it be a presentation such as this, a written essay, or an email. It is important in all forms, and that different levels of formality can be used in these, whether it come from a formal, informal email, presentation, essay, or simply conversation. All forms of workplace talk and communication are clearly important.